This week we read Parshas Noach, the story of the flood, and Torah tells us that, as we all know, Noach was told to build an ark, and the ark was going to contain within it all of the animals of the world, at least two of each kind. Actually, of the kosher animals, there will be seven of each, or seven pairs of each, and all the birds, of course, all the non-kosher ones. If you do a little calculation, I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of different animals there are, but there are quite a few. And the Torah, though, tells us the very specific directions for how to build the ark. The Torah tells us that Hashem tells to Noach, you should make it out of the wood, and you're going to do it with pitch. But this is the size. It's going to be 300 amot long. Now, an amma, depending on different opinions, somewhere between 18 and 24 inches. Let's go with the big one. Let's assume it's 24 inches. That's 2 feet. 300 amos is 600 feet. For us Canadians, that's close to 200 meters. So the length of the ark is 200 meters long. Then it tells you that chamishim amma rachba, it's going to be 50 amos wide. That's 100 feet wide, a little over 30. Let's call it 33 meters wide, and 50 amos high. 30 amos high, so 60 feet high, and it was 3 stories. There were 3 different levels. Tells you there's going to be actually 3 different levels. So one level was the animals, one level was the family, and one level was where they kept all the storage, all the food, because after all, they're packing for a year. It's not like we go for a weekend or we go for a week someplace. They were going for a year. There was no restocking of the ark. Everything that they needed for the entire time they were going to be there had to be in there. And although Noach did not necessarily even know how long they were going to be there, we know after the fact they were on the ark for a full year before they came back to ground. So that's quite a bit of stuff. And included in those animals are not all little ants, right? You've got very large animals like elephants, etc., and takes up a lot of space. And the Rabbeinu Bechaye actually comments, and he says, Hashem told Noach to do all this, right? This amount, and he says, all of these animals that were in there, it's not very big. That's not going to hold all these animals because you had so many different kinds. He said, even according to by natural means, if you built 50 of those arks, maybe it would hold them. So one ark isn't going to do it. So what's the point? Why is Hashem telling Noach to build an ark? It doesn't even hold all the people or all the animals. First of all, how'd they get in there? How'd they fit? So it must have been a miracle. There's a song by A.B. Rottenberg, if you're familiar with the Journeys album. One of them is about miracles, and one of them is, how did Noach get all the animals in the teva to fit? It must have been a miracle, right? So it was a miracle. So if Hashem's going to make a miracle, he asks, well, why bother? Why did he need to make an ark in the first place? And why did he make the ark this size? Want to make a little boat? Okay. Why make it's pretty big? I mean, by the amount of work. By the way, it took him 120 years to build it. So why is he doing it? Why didn't Hashem just say, you know what, we're going to save you. We'll fly up in the air. He said, he could have done that. He could have had some other way for them to float. A lot of other things he could have done. What was the point? So the Rabbeinu Bechaye answers, and he says that the way of the Torah, he says, the derech HaTorah, the way of the Torah, is to command people that they should do whatever they can do through natural means. A human being, our job is to do whatever we can through normal, natural means. And then he says, whatever is missing, whatever is not able to be done through natural means, yashlim hanes, the miracle will finish it off. In other words, Hashem knew it was going to be half-baked miracle. Even though it's going to be a miracle, a person should still do whatever they can do. And first of all, we don't rely on miracles. But besides that, is even if you think something is very going to be difficult here, I guess Noach probably knew he's not going to fit them all in, but he's got to do what he's got to do. And Hashem certainly knew it wasn't going to all fit, He says, I want you, Noach, to do whatever you can through natural means. You do your effort. And if you do your effort, I'll do the rest. A person is asked to do as much as they can. We don't just say, oh, Hashem, listen, I know you're going to do it anyway, so why don't you do everything and I'll do nothing? No, that doesn't work that way. It works is you do the best you can, and you don't know. By the way, you don't know that Hashem is going to definitely make a miracle. But if something needs to get done, make that effort. And if you make the effort truly, the Rabbeinu Bachai is telling us that Hashem will make it happen. Well, we know, for an example, the story of Moshe. Moshe goes into he's a little baby, he's in the river, right? And the daughter of Paro sees him in the river. And the Torah tells us she stretches out her hand and she reaches him. And there's a midrash that tells us that somehow miraculously her hand extended to be able to reach him, because really her arm was not long enough to reach it under natural means. So what happened? It was really out of her reach, but she figured she'll try. She tried to do the best she could, and then Hashem did the rest. So that's the idea. You do the best you can. Hashem will do the rest. And the truth of the matter is, by the way, that even we know that everything that happens is because Hashem makes it happen. So even if you think you're going to accomplish it, you may not. So our job is just to do and to try the best we can, and then Hashem will do the rest. And that's the answer the Rabbeinu Bachai gives. There's another explanation that I saw, which is actually in the email I wrote for the chat email this week, a different answer, and that is that by making it natural, that allows us to have free will. Because if something was obviously so clear that it was a miracle, there was no way. Let's say Hashem had said, him, it would just make a little teeny boat, make a rowboat, and you'll and that's good enough, right? And that'll be your effort, and we'll do the rest. So obviously it was a miracle, and in that case, it's not so much an issue of free will, but there's no doubt about it. In things that happen in the world, in things that are no doubt about it, you don't really have free will, because what ends up happening is that you say, oh, obviously Hashem did it, and therefore I can't possibly think there was something else. I can't make a mistake and think it was human beings doing it or some other force or whatever it was. I obviously it was a miracle. But if it's done in a way where it looks natural, then we can start thinking, maybe there is something else that's happening. Maybe, oh yeah, human being, we're powerful. Like we defeated them, we accomplished this, whatever it is that we did, it's us that we made it happen. That's when it is done through nature. And even, he says, and there's a catch, even something which it's probably a miracle, because after all, it's unlikely that we would be able to do this on our own. But on the surface, you could say, oh, you know what? It was a pretty big boat. It was a pretty big boat, right? If you can say that, then your mind somehow can convince yourself that, yeah, okay, they might have fit onto that ark by themselves. Maybe the ark was really big enough, even though, and the bottom line is, it really doesn't make sense. But it's not so obvious. You have to think about it. Once you have to think about it, somehow you can convince yourself that it's not necessarily such a big miracle. And that's the free choice. And by giving us that free choice, that enables us to earn the reward and to be able to make that decision on our own. And that's why Hashem wants, according to this understanding, that's why Hashem wants us to everything to look natural as much as possible, even when there's a miracle, so that we still have the free choice to be able to say, yeah, I know that was a miracle, even though there is some natural aspect to it. I know that Hashem had the hand in it. Have a wonderful Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.